Hey everyone, Piano Man Chuck here, and I have with me today two awesome keyboards. I have the new release from Korg, their Korg Kross keyboard. This is the 88 key version, also comes in a 61 key version, and the Casio Privia PX-5s. Now the reason I'm comparing both of these together is because they have a lot of similarities. First of all, they both list for the same price. I believe $1,299 US, and a street price of $999. So they're both under $1,000, and they both offer phenomenal capabilities for what they are. Now here's another thing they both offer that is really cool, and this is a first for both of them. Casio, let me back up a second. They're both 88 key, fully weighted, hammer action, graded, professional keybeds on both of these. I mean, it's just phenomenal. But the Casio one, this is 24 pounds. You can carry this under one arm. The Korg is 27 pounds. So pretty much in the same ballpark. You can carry this under one arm. And actually you can carry one of each under both arms. And you've got a two-tier. Anyway, the other unique feature of both of these is they both run on penlight batteries. This Casio Privia runs on 8 penlight batteries. This can run on 6 penlight batteries, which is so cool because you can take this anywhere in the world, couple it with a stereo keyboard amp like a Roland KC-110, and which also runs on batteries, and now you're anywhere in the world without power and performing. I mean, the possibilities are unlimited. So that being said, let's compare the physical differences. These are kind of apples and oranges compared to each other as far as capabilities. Yes, they can both be used as a stage piano. They can both be used as controllers for soft synths, but they are for different purposes. This is more synthesizer oriented, and if you're into designing your own sounds, if you're a sound designer, this is a dream come true for you. And if you're more of a performer or a studio person where you like to do everything yourself, this has a built-in 16-track sequencer. This has no recording capabilities or sequencing capabilities, but this one has not only 16-track of regular sequencing capabilities that you find in just about any other board that has sequencing capabilities. This also has, for the first time in under $1,000, an audio input where you can plug in a mic or a guitar, whatever, and it will record the audio portion on top of what you're recording in your 16 tracks. Usually you have to spend a few $1,000s to get that capability. Korg has given that to you in under $1,000. I mean, that's just phenomenal. It blows me away. Anyway, let's talk about the physical differences between these two first. And what I mean by physical, let's forget the sounds or the quality of whatever the patches are that you're playing. Let's just talk about physical differences between the two, because those of you that are on the fence between either one of these, this might sway you one way or the other. Just talking physical now. Okay, 24 pounds, 27 pounds. Not a big deal. As far as the Privia goes, you have a couple of controllers here, the pitch bend wheel and the modulation wheel, which are above the last couple of keys. So the fact that it's above, it's not a problem, it's just a matter of preference. Over here, when you come to the Kross, the pitch bend wheel and the modulation wheel are to the left of these keys. And it doesn't really matter whether it's above or to the left. You can get what you want to do with either one of these. You can accomplish that. But here's where that difference comes in. Because this is above, the length of this is a lot shorter than the length of this. Now that may not make a big difference to you until you hear what I'm about to say. Let's get a tape measure out. First of all, just to confirm that the keys are all the same size, from the beginning of the lower key to the end of the upper key, we've got 48 inches. And over here, same thing, 48 inches. So as far as the keyboard is concerned, they're both 48 inches, but from end to end, the entire unit here is 52 inches on the Casio, and we come over here to the Kross, and we've got 57 inches. So that's a 5-inch difference. Throw that in the case, and the case is going to add a little bit more. Now, here's why that might make a difference to some of you. Take me, for example, with my car. This one right here, the Privia PX-5s. This fits right in the back seat. I just throw it in, it takes the entire length of the back seat, I close my door, I'm off to my gig. This one, I don't have room for that way. So, what I need to do is, I go to the front passenger seat, I fold the back of that seat down. Now I have 4 doors. Now I open up the rear door that's behind the driver's seat, and I put this in diagonally so that part of this is on the front passenger seat and the other part of this is behind the driver's seat. Now it fits. Cool. Problem with that, I can't take any passengers now. That's a problem. If you have somebody helping you, or if you have a friend coming to the gig with you, they're going to have to take their separate car. Now that may be a problem for some of you, and right there, that may be the deciding factor between one of these two boards. Now, assume that you can get past that point and you can transport either of these. Let's go on and discuss the rest of the possibilities with this. Put the tape measure back. Okay, now a couple of things that you need to know. The power switch on the PX-5s is right here. And if you go onto some of the forums, you'll see some of the people complaining about that. And the reason is they kind of like to rest their hand here or whatever, or they're coming over to hit one of these knobs or sliders and they accidentally hit the power goes off. Well, I don't need to tell you the problems associated with that when the power goes off and you're on the stage performing. You can't do that with the Kross because the power switch is on the rear panel. So you can rest your hands pretty much anywhere, you're not going to shut off the power. Both of these babies run on penlight batteries in addition to AC power. And even if you don't plan on taking it anywhere where you don't need power, the reason that's important is because it acts as a built-in UPS for either one of these. So if somebody's walking across the stage or your guitar player goes crazy and trips across your power cord and the power comes out on either one of these, it's still going to be powered because the batteries kick in just like that. You don't have to worry about that. Now let's talk about the Keybeds. They're both 88 key, professional, fully weighted hammer action. They both feel great. This one on the Casio is a little bit heavier than this one. It's a matter of preference, but this has textured ebony and ivory onto it, so it's going to feel a little bit different. It might be strange at first unless you're used to that kind of thing. This, like all the other keyboards, it's smooth, it's plastic, you're used to it, you know how to play this already. The people that are complaining about how this feels at first start to fall in love with it after they play with this on stage. And the reason for that, when you're sweating, you tend to kind of slip a little bit. That doesn't happen with this because of the texture. So you have a more firm grip. Where your fingers land, that's where it's going to be. Now, if you were to turn the sound off on either one of these so that all you're hearing is just your fingers on the keyboard, this one's noisier. I don't know why, but it's noisier. This one is a lot quieter. And as far as pianos go, let's just compare. I guess when you first power up, they're probably going to put their best piano sound on, so let's just compare the two. That's beyond the scope of this to compare the sounds from one to the other, but let's just give that a shot here. When this powers up, you get something called a grand piano concert, and let's just do... Let's try the same thing over here in the Kross. This is without any EQ, without any dynamics or any kind of reverb, anything. Just stock sounds the way these come. So there you have it as far as physical and that kind of thing. Now, let's talk about being on the stage. When you choose from one, first of all, let's go to terminology. Patches, tones, programs, instruments, samples. There's a million different names. They all mean the same thing. Casio likes to call them tones, and Korg likes to call them programs. They mean the same thing. Now, you have 8 different program categories here on the Casio and 12 on the Korg. So Korg broke it down into more categories for you. Now, when you choose a category on here, say the piano category, now you gotta come over here to the minus and plus buttons, or you can use this K2 knob and select. You go through it one at a time: concert grand, rock piano, grand piano studio, grand piano modern, LA piano, and so on and so forth. Over here, once you select the piano category, you use this select knob to show what you're looking at for the next piano. But unlike the Casio, they're showing you 5 choices at once. So if you're at the beginning with the original Kross piano, you see the next 4 choices. If you're somewhere in the middle, like where I am right now with dark piano, I see the previous 2 choices: vivid piano, warm piano, and the next 2, grand reverb, upright piano 1. So it's a lot better. And as far as the size of these, this is a small LED display. This is a big one, and you can actually see the choices before and after, so you don't have to just go to the next one to see what you get. You can go to the next one and see 5 choices at once. Now, let's grab that tape measure once again, and just to show you some kind of idea of what I'm talking about. This particular LED display is just shy of 2.5 inches. This one is about 4.25 inches. Big difference. And as far as the height, this is about 1 inch. This is 1.5 inches. It makes a big difference when you're on stage. This is much bigger. You can do a lot more with this easier than this. I mean, you really have to look at what you're doing with this one. Okay, so now that we've covered that, let's cover the layout of the buttons and knobs and so on and so forth. These buttons here are really small, as well as the wording above them. The buttons here, bigger. Some of them light up. The wording above there, I don't have to struggle to see it. This is much easier to use on the stage than that. So as far as actual button setup and as far as actually reading what's above those buttons, I would choose this +1 for Korg. As far as the Keybed action, well, I went through that already. I kind of like this one, but I'm starting to like this one too. That's a matter of preference, so we'll stop that one with that. Now, as far as the capabilities of both of these, they're built for different things. Yes, like I said at the beginning, they can both be used as a stage piano or as a controller for soft synths. But if you're a sound designer and if you're into that kind of thing, this is your baby right here, because you can design sounds from scratch. And this one, you can't do that. Basically, what's in it is what you get. But you get a lot more in this than you do with this, because it is a music workstation, and a music workstation, by definition, pretty much has a lot of sounds, much more than your typical stage piano. And as a matter of fact, I can layer up to 16 different sounds with this, and I can do it easily without even trying. This one's a little bit more work to do that, but I can do up to 4 sounds. Yes, I know some of you are going to say technically I can get up to 14 sounds. Yes, you're right, but as far as different tones or patches or programs, I can only get 4. The way you get 14 on this is the first 2 of these will accept hex layers, which is basically what you're designing from scratch. Not everybody knows how to do that. That's beyond the scope of this, but basically for all intents and purposes, 16 layers versus 4. As far as sequencing and recording, this will do both. This won't do any of that. Again, purely stage piano on this one. This one, if you want to become a one-man band on stage, you can do that with this one. So as far as ease of use on stage, I would give a +1 to this one. But this is where Casio comes in. I give a +1 as far as shaping the sound. Not only do I have a piano here, and yeah, I can shape the sound somewhat on this one, but I can make the sound here completely my own because I have control of just about every aspect of that sound. The reverb actually works, unlike some of these where you just get a setting of plate, hall, reverb, stage. This one you can control how much, and it actually works. EQ actually works just like tone controls. In fact, these first 4 knobs are defaulting to just the tone. And yeah, I can shape some of that on this, but not quite to the extent that I can do it on this one. Now, as far as cool factor, that's up to you, but basically Korg has always done a great job of making stuff look cool, and this looks cool. From the player's perspective, it's black with some red accents. From the audience perspective, it's red. And a lot of people associate that red with Nord stage pianos, which are the Rolls Royce of stage pianos, and they happen to be the most expensive pianos out there. So some people might mistake that for this, and I don't know if that was intentional or what, but I'm finding more manufacturers are starting to come out with red. This one also grabs attention all by itself because it's white and black. Now, if you're at a wedding, this is a cool thing to have because weddings you typically have white. But that's not that important. But basically, this has been a video that kind of goes over the differences between these two. There is one more thing that I wanted to just touch on. This also has a step sequencer for drums. It's derived from Korg's Electribe unit. And basically it is so cool. It has these 16 buttons that go on. And they light up as it goes on in sequence. And by pressing each whatever you want, that's where a drum part comes in. And I can actually spend an entire video going through that one feature alone. In fact, I will do that at some point in the future. But just so that you know that's there, that is such a cool thing to have. Oh, and lastly, as far as doing splits and layers with this, they have dedicated knobs for this so that you don't have to go into the more detailed one to get 16, just a simple layer of 2 layers. You can do that easily. It's a little more work than this, but excuse me, this one's a little more work to do layers than this one. This one's real easy. And the last thing that I wanted to cover is, again, different terminology for different manufacturers, registrations, stage settings, favorites. Korg calls it favorites on this one. This is called stage settings. When you come up with something that you like, or you're even doing a set list and you're playing with your band, basically you want to remember the settings. So song number 1, you're going to press this to get to the settings for that. Song number 2, you're going to press that button to get to... This has 100 different stage settings. This one has 64. This is called stage settings. This is called favorites. And the favorites that you specify in here doesn't have to be just a single sound. It could be a combination. It could be a sequence, whatever. Same thing with here. This is all stage setting based. It's always in stage setting or registration mode. So whatever setting you press, that's what you get with up to 4 zones. As far as getting to the zones or the stage settings or the favorites, that's a little bit different because you have 10 banks of 10 each here. So if I press bank 0, 0, I'm now at stage setting 0, 0. And as long as I press 1 through 9 after that, I maintain stage setting 0, 0 through 0, 9. If I want 10 through 19, I have to press bank 1, 0, or whatever bank within that. This one has 4 banks of 16 each. So all I have to do is press bank A, and now I've got 16 settings. A little bit easier here. But that's basically what I wanted to cover today. Either one of these is a great choice. You can't go wrong with either one of these. They're both phenomenal, and they're both under $1,000, and they just blow me away. Piano Man Chuck, hope this has been helpful to you. Thanks for watching. Peace out.